See why it was so tough? Now, the first place winner in the Voice of Democracy essay competition is a young man named Alexander.
As my feet touch the pavement, the doors of the school bus shut behind me, and I begin my long, usual walk home. A thought-provoking question left by my teacher lingers in the back of my mind. I'm determined to answer it, but cannot find the words to do so. I pass by a mailbox labeled 1941. In the driveway sits a vintage Buick. The sunlight glistens off of a Hawaiian license plate and sweeps onto the car's deep blue finish. Beyond the car sits a man. I've heard his stories of service before. He remembers December 7th as if it was yesterday. The images of planes swarming the air, looking for ships to sting, never stray far from his conscious mind. He remembers his comrades, guided by bravery, fighting with every ounce of energy they had left, risking their lives to save others, and never giving up because the circumstances were too difficult. He remembers their last breath, as sinking masses brought the physicality of their being to the ocean floor, but their spirit much higher. Yet, as I walk past, the man gives me a smile. For he knows that out of the tragedy came triumph. America picked itself up from the Depression and became stronger. We output more resources than any other to the dispute before us, and had our boys stinging over the enemy's hive later that year. Eventually, my feet bring me to a new house. Beyond the mailbox, labeled 1945, a man stands beside his boat in the driveway. He ever so carefully repairs the two holes on its surface. For him, the sight is all too familiar. July 30th is a date that will forever live in infamy. An image of the USS Indianapolis is engulfed by the waters of tragedy. He remembers his men leaping from its mast into the unknown as missiles pierce the ship's side. He remembers his men fighting against the unforgiving waters as they endured dehydration, exposure, and relentless shark attacks. Yet, as I pass, he smiles. For he knows that under the circumstances of tragedy, the nation was given hope. Hope that from endured hardships, survival is evident in the fight against freedom. Freedom that proved to be victorious later that year. As I continue walking, the street guides me to another prominent residence. This one, much more modern than the last. Here, a man sits on his porch, basking in the sunlight. His two legs ascend onto the rails of his porch as if two tall towers. Above him, the wind graciously blows his 2001 New York Yankees World Series hat off of his head. He has told me stories of the Yankees before, but none can compare to his experience of September 11th. The images of two glorious towers are hazed by the dust of destruction. He remembers his fellow officers as they went towards the chaos with more courage than he thought humanly possible, never once thinking of turning back. He remembers the towers as their falling masses crushed the nation and those within. Yet as I pass, his face leaves a smile. For he knows that out of the devastation came a more solidified nation. A nation that worked diligently to fix the destruction both at home and abroad. A nation that put brave men and women on the source of immortality in less than a month. A nation that doesn't simply give up when the winds of change blow in the wrong direction. Finally, I reach my house. The mouth of the mailbox suffocates for air as it tries to ingest the staggering amount of bills and debt notices. Its cheek is plastered with the numbers 2013. Before entering the driveway, I pause and think about the question my teacher left me with. Why am I optimistic about our nation's future? Just for a moment, I gaze down the street, past my house, towards the part that I've yet to track. It's unknown what lies ahead, but for some reason I'm confident. Because as I look from where I came, I remember the stories. And I know that whatever the impediment, hindrance or obstacle, we will overcome as we always have, with more confidence, courage, and bravery than ever before.